Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me right. We are testing out a new streaming system, so please bear with me. But welcome to our latest webinar of the year, The Gift of Heritage, Citizenship Updates, and What to Expect in 2026. I am Anouk. I am Polaron's Marketing and Communications Coordinator. And first, I would like to remind everyone to please leave your comments and questions in the Q&A box below, as we will be answering your questions live. And then please also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have Facebook pages, Instagram, where you can reach out to us with questions or any concerns that you may have. So today we will be talking about 2025 and probably also earlier. We'll be looking forward to 2026. What can we expect across Poland, Germany, and Czechia? And then we'll also be covering some successful client stories and then, of course, the Q&A. So today we are here with Eva. Thank you so much for being here. She is our founder and director.
Hi, everyone.
And then we are here with our three wonderful guest speakers. So we have Joanna, who is our Polish citizenship specialist.
Hello.
Marina, who is our German citizenship specialist. And then Jakub, who is our Czech and Slovak citizenship manager. If you would like to book a call with them, I included a booking code that you can scan. So if you cannot catch this right now, this will be uploaded on YouTube and you will be able to scan those codes later on. So then a bit about Polaron. We've been helping people since 2003 with their European citizenships from start to finish. We have offices around the globe, so we are always available for any of your questions or concerns. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. We also do our eligibility assessments for free. So yeah, I really hesitate to do that if you are thinking about it. And then without further ado, I will hand this over to Eva.
Thank you so much, Anouk. And I'm very pleased to have so many colleagues with us today that are going to be able to share their expertise and a recap of 2025, which has been a strange year, I guess. And all of a sudden, it's mid-December, it's crept up on us. So it's been fast and it's been interesting and it's been challenging in different spaces. But we firstly wanted to talk about what maybe has changed. So I might start with Marina here to see what, if anything, has changed in 2025 when it comes to German citizenship laws.
Yeah, hello everybody, and thanks for joining. So Germany was probably a bit quiet the last year, not too many changes there. The most recent one was still the dual citizen law from 2024. Not a lot there has changed apart from, I believe, that the fast track option for the 3 years. So if you moved to Germany, there was an option that you could naturalize in 3 years if you are a profession that desire, anything like that. And I think they have, with the new government changes, they have scrapped that option. So it's back to 5 years, which is still not too long. But that was the most recent change. So yeah, not too much to report for the descent pathway. No major changes there.
But of course, in the last 5 years or since 2021, Germany has had an overhaul of legislations. I think everyone's waiting for the legislation to be stabilized and what it's meant, because the pathways have been made so much more flexible and there are more now than ever. What it's meant is that there's now very long waiting queues. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think it's probably with every citizenship, especially the past year, we've seen an increase, or at least we did here at Polaron. You know, with the just what's going on in the world. People are looking at a plan B. And that meant, we had a huge increase this year with inquiries and clients. And I think we can see that probably in the next year or so, that, the waiting times probably will increase with citizenship processes, because, they're just overwhelmed with applications.
Yeah, so everyone except for Czech, and I wanted to bring Jakub in because Czech citizenship processing times are ridiculously short. And yes, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll cover them. Jakub, how long do you have to wait to get Czech citizenship if you qualify?
Hi, everyone. So yes, you are right, Iva, that it's, let's say, very short when we compare it to other citizenships. So currently, the Czech citizenship usually takes from the moment of submission of the application until your Czech citizenship certificate. It's about 6 months. So yeah, that's not too bad, I think. But as Marina said, we also see huge growth in the number of applicants. But so far, the Czech government or Czech authorities are keeping up. So that's good news. And yeah, so for Czech citizenship, you don't have to wait so long. Now it's from 4 to 6 months usually.
And I think you've been with Polaron for now 4 years, am I right?
I think it's more than 5 actually.
More than 5, goodness, when did that happen? But since you've started, the Czech Republic has been, or the lawmakers have been talking about extending the laws, because there's like 20 years where people aren't eligible. Could you just briefly take us through that and where that's at? Because we've been impatiently waiting for that legislation to be voted in, but it hasn't happened. What's happening there?
Yeah, so you are right. So basically, it's a huge injustice, at least from my point of view. There was a law during the communist era that people are basically born between 1st of October 1949 and I think it's 7th of May 1969, born abroad, actually had to have both parents Czechoslovak to become Czechoslovak citizens. And that was that basically excluded a lot of people from becoming Czechoslovak or Czech citizens, and our parliament tried to make this right by a new law in 2015. So people have 1 year to apply for this citizenship, but of course 1 year is very short period, so almost nobody applied. And now there is a draft in the Czech parliament to return this option, so these people and much more like the 3rd generation and so on can be eligible for Czech citizenship. But so far they didn't vote about it yet. They have it on the list. They have it on their agenda, but no voting, and we are still waiting. It's been more than a year and a half, and we have a lot of questions about this from our clients. So yeah, we are watching this closely, but so far no changes.
Right. And I believe that Czechia is about the only country in Europe or in the EU at least where growth of population is actually positive. Am I right?
I don't know if it's the only one, but yes, it's correct that we have, the number of Czechs or people in the Czech Republic is growing, which is good news, I guess, I hope.
So you're doing a good job, and perhaps some of it is to do with new Czech citizens. And how about Slovak? And there's a question in the chat as well, because the Slovak laws are quite different than Czech, and they're a bit more restrictive, I guess, is the way that I would put it. But what's happening in the legal space there, Jakub?
So in Slovakia, basically they were very strict. Let's say even a few years ago, they were very strict about the dual citizenship. So if you were Slovak and you naturalized abroad, you lost your Slovak citizenship. So that was very strict, way more than Czech. But then in 2022, they actually changed it quite a lot, and now they allow the dual citizenship under some conditions, but they are not too harsh or strict. And they also allow even great-grandchildren of their former Slovak or Czechoslovak citizens born in Slovakia to become Slovak again. So now they are very welcoming, I would say, to new citizens, which is a good news. And yeah, we also see quite a growth in terms of people who are interested in Slovak citizenship. And about the chat, or I don't know if now it's the time to answer. Yeah, okay. So the question is, can you explain recent court ruling in Slovakia that may open up citizenship by descent for ancestors who left before 1908? So basically, yeah, there are many court rulings going up in Slovakia. But the general rule is that if you left Europe before Czechoslovakia was founded, it can be complicated to prove that your ancestors were Czechoslovak citizens. There was also some law that actually applied only in the Slovak part of Czechoslovakia, that if your ancestors left Czechoslovakia for some period of time, you could, but not necessarily, lose your Czechoslovak citizenship. So I would say it's a complicated legal landscape, and people who were, for example, declined, their application was declined, they are taking this to court, which is, I think, is a good thing. And now this is one of the cases. So yeah, we are watching this closely, but so far there is no change in this yet. We will see how these courts standing will go.
Yeah, and of course we'll let everybody know as soon as anything changes.
Right.
So you did mention 1918 here, Jakub. So I wanted to bring Joanna in because that's also a key date. So Poland regained its independence on 11th of November 1918, and the first set of laws to do with citizenship was introduced in 1920, in January 1920. But there's still a bit of a myth, Joanna, that if you left before 1918, you don't qualify for citizenship through descent, and yet some people do. Can you just briefly tell us how people qualify, or what would your ancestors have to have done for you to qualify if they left before 1918?
So if your ancestor left before 1918, for Polish citizenship, there are a couple ways to obtain Polish citizenship. So the one way is through confirming this and go through the regular path, citizenship through descent. You can also take another way, like grant of Polish citizenship, if you are not qualified for citizenship through descent, or you can go through Karta Polaka. So, like with the Polish citizenship, there are three ways to obtain Polish citizenship. So we usually find, the resolution for you to get you the Polish passport. Regarding the Polish citizenship through descent, the 2025. Wasn't a really year of legal changes for Polish citizenship. The last major change was actually happened in 2024, and it was huge for anyone applying through the maternal line, like grandmothers or great-grandmothers. Because before that, women with dual citizenship who reached adulthood were often considered to have lost Polish citizenship. So the updated interpretation clarified that many of them didn't lose it, especially if they were born in countries that automatically grant citizenship at birth. But this reinterpretation has opened the door for lots of families who were previously told they weren't eligible. So since 2024, we have a lot of clients like this, which actually are eligible for confirmation of Polish citizenship. And also, maybe I will try to start from the another angle. So 2025 wasn't really a year of legal change for Polish citizenship, but it was a year full of confusion. I don't know, probably for the Czech and German citizenship it was the same. The law didn't really change, but online, wow, there was like huge amount of misleading, oversimplified, and sometimes just wrong information. So one of the biggest challenge was like, you know, to deal with this misinformation online. And a lot of people are using now like AI tools, like ChatGPT to check if you are eligible, and that can give the wrong idea. We always recommend to contact us for free eligibility assessment. And when you send us your family tree file and documents you have, we gonna, you know, review it very carefully and see what is the best way for you to obtain, you know, Polish, Czech, or German citizenship, all other.
Some great advice there. Just bringing you back to Polish for a moment there before we move on. There's been, in 2025, there's been a lot of conversations about potential changes of law, which I don't know whether it's actually reached the stage where it's before the parliament, but what the Polish government has done is very extensive community consultations across the world with Polish diaspora, internally. Joanna, it's to do with one particular pathway that you've mentioned, which is Karta Polaka. Would you like to tell us a bit more, please?
Yes, so maybe I will explain briefly. Like Karta Polaka is the document for people who are not Polish citizenship, but Polish citizens, but have Polish roots or strong connection to Polish culture. So it's not citizenship yet, but it's often the first step toward Polish citizenship. So to qualify, you usually need at least one Polish parent, grandparent, or two Polish great-grandparents, along with a basic knowledge of the Polish language and culture. So for many families, it's practical and meaningful way to reconnect with Polish heritage. So looking ahead to 2026, there are some proposed changes to Karta Polaka. For example, the required residence period could go from 1 year to 3 years before applying for citizenship. Also, eligibility based on involvement in Polish organizations might be removed. And I think the language exam could be become more restrictive. So these are just proposal, nothing official yet. And there's no confirmed timeline. So at the moment, Polaron has like 100% success rate with Karta Polaka cases. And this is why we really encourage anyone eligible to act now while the current rules are still in place. So yeah, the good news is like citizenship by distance isn't expected to change. So that part of process is still solid, but you know, if you are eligible, now is the time to act while the current rules are still in place.
Yes, and in fact, we have a couple of clients who are applying in December because they've been waiting for 3 years to get an approval from a Polish community organizations, which is something that the Polish government is thinking about removing. So to qualify for Karta Polaka, you need to have one parent, one grandparent, or both great-grandparents who are that are Polish of nationality. And sometimes that is not a case where you might just have one, or you cannot prove it. So having a letter of recommendation from a Polish diaspora organization where you've been a member, active member for more than 3 years is a way for you to be able to apply. So now the Polish government is thinking of potentially removing that. Jakub, just briefly back to you for a moment. And Slovak citizenship laws have something that's called Slovak living abroad. Any changes in relation to that, or is it progressing as always?
So Slovak living abroad certificate is actually very, very similar to Karta Polaka. As you mentioned, it's there's more straightforward way for citizenship with that, and it's even for people who have Actually, it's for everyone. That's very interesting. It's not like, I mean, not completely everyone, but if you have any Slovak ancestry, you can have this card, which is you know, quite, I think it's great. No limit in generations, but you also have to prove, as similar to Poland, connection to Slovakia, be part of some compatriot organization. So, and you know, I think it's going still the same. No changes there are expected. I double checked, and actually most of the people who are interested in this certificate are from, it was interesting for me, are from Ukraine or from Serbia, and people basically speaking with a huge Slovak diaspora, but not many people from the United States, for example, or Australia. So now, right now, it's more interest in, let's say, Balkan and the Eastern Europe. But we, when I checked the statistic, I also saw the growth from the United States, or growth of interest from United States and Australia, also United Kingdom. So more and more people want this Slovak living abroad certificate too. It's also proof that you are officially a Slovak, not a Slovak citizen necessarily, but part of the Slovak nation.
But also it can lead to citizenship, obviously.
Right. That's the reason why most people have it, and you can also live in Slovakia with this certificate. So it's not just some commemorative card. It's very useful actually in the real life. Yeah. So you and your family can live in Slovakia. But yes, it's for most of people, it's a first step to their citizenship. Yes.
Brilliant. So we'll move on shortly to the next section of the webinar. But I did want to ask Marina, because in German laws there are several pathways to citizenship, and Joanna's already mentioned people coming to us with pre-chewed information. So, you know, maybe they've gone ahead and used AI, or maybe they've gone on somewhere like Reddit or Facebook pages. I hear from our team leader, Maggie, that lots of people come to you guys with, I don't want to call them arguments, but they have certain positions or information they've already gathered. Does that make your life easier or more difficult? Is that one of the challenges, Marina?
It depends. Sometimes, obviously, you know, they have all the right information and documents and everything, and it makes it very easy. And then, yeah, sometimes there is some misleading information. I mean, citizenship itself is always about dates, certain dates when legislation's changed, and, you know, not everyone can know all these things, obviously. So this is when, you know, when the first call we have that we know we can either strengthen, obviously, the client's thoughts about the case and say, yes, you're correct, you know, with all the dates, but sometimes obviously dates are important, and it's the other way, you know, with certain pathways that yeah, clients think they might be eligible, and then for some reason I unfortunately have to give them bad news, but yeah, so it can go both ways. But yeah, there's definitely always some misleading information out there, which is, you know, I understand it's always hard to get exactly the info you need, you know, when you start this process by yourself. So it's always good to speak to someone.
And of course, in most cases, we can guarantee outcomes of people's cases. So we do put our money on the line. And it also, I guess, depends on types of documents that people have. And sometimes a lot of people come to us with no information whatsoever. They might just know that they have a German ancestor somewhere, or Czech ancestor somewhere, or Polish ancestor somewhere, but not a lot more. So lots of our work is about gathering evidence and finding documents and information that people don't have. So that would be another key challenge, but also we have a lot of successes with that. Anouk, I might get you to move on to the next slide, because we are going to look into the future as we do at Polaron. And we covered some of it already. So we've cut the Polaka. Joanna, could you just quickly summarize for us what are the proposed changes, what might happen next year?
Okay, So there are like 3 changes that might happen. So the required residence period could go from 1 year to 3 years before applying for Polish citizenship. Eligibility based on the involvement in Polish organization might be removed, and the language exam could become more restrictive. So yes, as I told before, these are just proposal, nothing official yet, but you know, we don't know exactly when they can implement that.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. And Czech and Slovak, we've also covered that. We know that it's got the shortest processing times, but what's the outlook for 2026, Jakub?
So I think the short processing times should not change, or we hope that they will not change. When I spoke to officials at the citizenship department, they were quite optimistic actually. So I think only good news in 2026. We are still looking, as I mentioned before, to the Czech parliament if they will maybe approve the draft of the law that would make more people eligible, and it would also correct some historical injustice that happened to a lot of people during the communist era. So but about this we don't know. I would say it's like 50-50, but we are closely watching it, and we would let our clients know on our social media also in person or by email if something will be happening there. So I think for Czech and Slovak citizenship 2026 looks very good.
All good news. Not such good news for Germany, I guess. Marina, when we first started working with you, most cases were processed within 12 months, but now that there's been more flexibility, more changes, that's expanded. So is that the outlook for 2026 as well?
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, it probably will increase. Yeah, the determination process is, you know, already around the 24-month mark, 2 years. That might go, you know, up a little bit. We hopefully not too much more time with restitution. You know, like that's the fast track. Well, it used to be fast tracked version. Yes. You mentioned. It used to be 6 months, 6 to 9 months, and now we're more, you know, 12 to 18 months. Because yeah, they're just having an increased case load, and I always hear that they are trying, especially for the restitution pathway, to employ more people and make this a bit faster. But look, it's been in discussions, I think, for a while, and it hasn't happened yet. So yeah, this is probably also hard for clients sometimes to hear, because not everyone expects this, right? When I say, oh, this will take you 2 years from submitting an application, it's I think a lot of people don't know these things, which is normal, right? If you've never, you know, applied for a long-term visa or anything like that, you know, you wouldn't know. So yeah, citizenship is well worth it, but it does take its time, and with Germans, we don't like to be rushed when it comes to these things either.
That's right.
So yeah, it's hard to, you know, even push them in any kind of way, because yeah, they just have the workload and they can't be faster.
And of course, so that people know, everything in Germany is done manually, so there is no online processing. So there are physical applications that people need to submit, and we tend to cut out maybe as much as 3 to 6 months out of the processing by knowing how to prepare the documentation. Because one thing you don't want is for the German government after 24 months to say, oh, there's something missing or something's unclear. So our applications are ready to go. And another reminder to everyone that's watching, that one of the pathways, and you tell us which one in a moment, will no longer be available after 2031. And that's only in 5 years. So, you know, if you are thinking about applying, do not wait, because that pathway is not going to be available for too long. Which pathway is it? That's section 15, is that right?
5, so it's declaration,
Section 5.
declaration of German citizenship, which is the female lineage. So this came into the law in August 2021. So they are sneaky Germans. We have an expiry date of 10 years where you can apply, and this brings us to August 2031. And as you mentioned, next year it's halfway. It's 5 years. So yeah, it's 5 years is not long when it comes to citizenship, especially with waiting times. So yeah, it'll come around quicker than we think. Yeah, it's always something to look at as well. If you know, even if you think it might not be for you, or you don't need it, look at other generations down, right? Look at your children, or maybe your future grandchildren, you know, that are not here yet. It's a pathway you can do now that restores, you know, your German citizenship into your family again, and then your future grandkids might be German. They will be German, and they have all the benefits, you know, from a dual citizenship and passport. So it's always worth mentioning that it might not be for you, but you know, your children or future generations.
And it's for life. And we're getting some really interesting and good questions in the chat, which we'll answer shortly. But this is, I guess, Marina, one of the reasons why there's an increased interest in EU citizenship. But there are others. You speak to potential clients and clients every day. What are people telling you? Why are they pursuing this?
I think at the moment, definitely, you know, the political situation around the world, you know, in all different parts, I think made a huge increase this year. People want to have an option, and that's totally understandable. There's no harm in having another passport, right? Even if you never use it, you know, it's there just in case. So this is a big part for a lot of people at the moment. And then also, of course, your heritage, you know, especially for the restitution pathway, that's the persecution pathway during World War II. It's for a lot of people, you know, gives them closure to reclaim their German citizenship through that pathway. And then for some, it is exactly the future generations, right? You have options. You know, we've always been, everyone has been young once. We like to travel, you know, university, better education options. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for people, a lot of different reasons that might, yeah, start the pathway.
And for some, it's something as simple as just not wanting to stand in the other queue at airports. Like there are lots of people that work with frequent travelers. And now that Europe's introduced STR, where you need to get an entry permit, so it's not a visa but an entry permit, more and more people are just like, well, if I can get citizenship and go right through, I'll do that. We did want to briefly, and we very quickly running out of time. It's been such an interesting discussion. Thanks, everyone. I'll briefly cover the streamlined process and updated pricing and expanded services. So we do currently around 12 citizenships, but we will be introducing a more formal way, I guess, to work with us for Austrian, Lithuanian and Latvian, which we already do. And we also, for those that don't know, we also do Slovenian and Croatian and Italian, except that, believe it or not, Italian citizenship has changed dramatically because they've reduced numbers of generations, and lots of people are very disappointed. So this is one more reason why you should wait. And, you know, also US, you know, one of the politicians is talking about removing dual citizenship. That's not likely to happen, but you just never know. So if anyone's thinking about it, get onto it now is my advice. And we've also looked at how our pricing can be a bit more beneficial to people that have simple cases. So even if you've been quoted or talked to us before, feel free to get in touch. And look, I'll get you to move on to the next slide, which is success stories. And we love talking about success stories because they're life-changing. Joanna, tell us about a case that you remember that was life-changing for someone and super interesting to work on.
Okay, so maybe I will tell like I have like two stories. So there were like some cases last year that really stayed with me. One involved missing documents that the authorities initially said were required. So the client was pretty discouraged and honestly thought it was over, but we went back, did deeper research, and found another legal way forward. So when we told him that the case was approved, they were like so relieved, and he said like, I really thought this would never happen. And so we exchanged a lot of emails with those clients. That's why it stayed with me. And also there are like cases that go even deeper. So one family's grandparents had to live through serious trauma during World War II. So for the grandchildren, confirming Polish citizenship wasn't just about, about documents, about EU citizenship. It was about reconnected with their family story. And they later sent us the photos and picture. They traveled to Poland and reconnected with the relatives there. So, moments like that really remind me why this work matter.
Yeah, why you do what you do. And I think one thing that's never going to change at Polaron, at least, is that we'll always have amazing people that you work with, people that truly care about not just your story, not just your case, but you, and how sensitively and professionally we handle your information and your family heritage, I guess. Jakub, how about you? Do you remember crazy or remarkable case that you could share with us?
Yeah, I have a lot of these cases,
Crazy
but crazy cases, let's say. But yeah, often clients come to us and tell us, well, look, I don't know much about my family history, or I just know the names. I'm not sure about the places. And it's the best feeling when we are able to help these clients, because yeah, we never give up as researchers, and we are looking in every possible archive. So for example, a few weeks ago, there was a client, and he wasn't sure if his grandparents were even married, because there was a war and very unstable times. But their family tradition is that they got married right before they left Czechoslovakia. And we actually searched, and nothing was there, but then we found some passport application, and there was a little note on the side with the date of the marriage, and we just found it. So that's one example of the story where we have done the research for months, really for months, without success, and then we finally found it. So yeah, that stayed with me from last few months.
Yeah, I think we do a lot of detective work, honestly, and sometimes it requires reading between the lines, and also like really understanding the history and what matters in someone's case. Before I hand over to Marina, last month I actually went with a client of ours who's based in Sydney to the consulate, because he was granted citizenship, and his particular case, and he's very happy to talk about it, and we've got his photos all over our social media if you want to have a look. It's just that the Polish law's got this quirk where you need to register your birth certificate within 12 months of your birth, what your parents do. And in his case, he was 8 years old when his birth certificate was registered. So he did, even though he had a Polish father, he did not qualify for citizenship through descent because of that legislative restriction. So it took him a couple of years to get it. But he also said to me, I'm just so delighted with this, and I did not believe I'm gonna be a Polish citizen. So just being there in that moment with someone like that, it just makes everything worthwhile. Marina, how about you? What crazy case can you tell us about?
Yeah, there were a few this year. I think a pretty good, great one was, I think, our quickest application ever in German, which took 3 weeks to be approved from applicant.
Wow.
From submitting. So, which was a restitution case, and he was an older gentleman. So he was actually a Holocaust survivor. So he was the persecuted ancestor. So yes, 3 weeks from applying, and I think the team did a great job. I think they attached a cover letter as well and explained the circumstances, and yeah, Germany responded and made sure they put all the effort behind, and it was 3 weeks. So this was yeah, very obviously positive outcome. And I think he was over the moon that it went so quick. And then I think we also had the oldest clients ever, which was 102, if I saw that right, wow. Which was also a restitution case. And yeah, that was also a positive decision. And then I had a very a bit out of the ordinary case, which just got approved, I think, a few weeks ago, which I might just touch base quickly because it's a declaration case, and it is interesting because it was actually the client's grandfather, so not the female lineage. The grandfather was German and immigrated and met a lovely lady, the grandmother, US citizen. She never had any German heritage. But they married before 1949, so which is when you receive German citizenship through marriage by marrying a German citizen. And he was, at the time of the marriage, he was still a German citizen. Then he naturalized, and the son was born later in, I think, 1950, around 1950. So you would think the first thing you would say, no, because, you know, the grandfather was not a German anymore, and he lost it, so he would have not been able to pass it on. However, the declaration law through the female lineage, the grandmother was still German, and yes, so reclaimed the declaration pathway through the grandmother, and it was a positive case. So very out, yeah. It's interesting, I think, for people to hear, because yeah, you would not think about this if you look through your family history and go, oh, I think I'm not eligible here, but yeah, so always worth double checking.
We dig deep, and I also had the pleasure in my travels to attend at the German consulate, again in Sydney, because I'm based in Australia, of when people are given the certificates of restitution. And it's just like the most emotional moment. And I've also attended the Austrian ones, and it is so much more than citizenship. It's righting the wrongs, and it's such an emotional moment for people that attend, and it's handled with such care by German and Austrian governments. And it just makes things real when you are surrounded by other people who have reclaimed it. But I think we have a couple of minutes for questions, because guess what? As always, we've run out of time. So thank you, everyone, for contributing. Go ahead, Anouk, and ask questions that people have.
We have a few. So first was from Andy, who asks, what about Stag 14 applications? Are they on hold? Additional guidance from the BVA? ?
Over to you, Marina. If anyone knows, you know.
Yeah, look, discretionary naturalization is a pathway for, you know, people who don't know. For people that don't qualify by descent, it's very similar to the grant process in Polish. Look, it's hard. It's case by case. It's really hard to say, you know, you're a really good case, you're a bad case. It really depends also on the person that sits on the other end of your application with discretionary naturalization. The biggest factor, I think, apart from your heritage, you know, that you have strong ties to Germany, that you speak the language. So there's a language test requirement with discretionary naturalization. Probably the hardest part to prove is the public interest, right? What do you bring to the table? And this is where I think most applications struggle. They have a bit of a rule with the declaration. So if you're not eligible for the declaration pathway, this could be a good pathway to look at, because Germany favors these cases a little bit. It depends obviously on the case, but if the time frame doesn't add up, and that's why you're not eligible for declaration, it could be another way. But yeah, look, they're still processing these applications with 14. But I think it's the same with other countries as well. They're tightening their it's just people increased the inquiries, and you have to have a very, very strong case and tick all the boxes for them.
Yeah, but having said that, we've only handled a few cases of this nature, but we've been successful with every single one of them. And where we add value is help you bring those things to the table that you mentioned. So we will have ideas of how to connect you with German diaspora organizations, let's say, or how to present your application in a way that resonates with the German government. And there's no magic in it. It's just how you present that information to the German government, literally, and how you can come with your profile that's presented in a way that helps whoever's working on your case at BVA to approve it. All right, Anouk, any other questions?
I see someone still typing in the chat, but in the meantime, Andy also said, I was born 5 days too early for Stag 5.
Oh, goodness.
So,
what did you say to that, Marina?
Yeah, it's awful because I have actually a lot of clients that it's a month, a day, 5 days, and they're very strict on the actual date. But this would be probably something you could definitely look into, the discretionary naturalization process, because it probably would give you a advantage, if I can say so, in that process, because you missed out on that law.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So just like the case of someone whose birth certificate wasn't registered on time in Poland, this is a similar situation where the government clearly sees that it's just 5 days, and they would be more open to have your case approved, provided you come with all the other elements of it. I think if we were to assess a chance of success of something like that, we would be quite optimistic, I guess. I think we have maybe time for one question, or go ahead. We over time a little bit, but let's go with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be filtering a little bit, but I want to say thanks to T. Renux for the nice words. And then Dr. Douglas asks, any relaxation of the 1800s for features? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yeah, based on EU treaties or treaties.
Marina, is that something you're comfortable in responding? Otherwise, what we can do...
Can I just ask again, what was the question? The last.
So this is the 1800 forfeiture. Yeah, you can see the question in the chat.
Just have a look.
Thank you.
Yeah, the questions seem to be flowing in now.
I think it's in general for every citizenship, like when your ancestors emigrated in the 19th century, the chance of you being eligible is unfortunately not so high as if they emigrated to USA, for example, during the 20th century, right?
Yeah, so it's 1800 forfeitures.
Yes, because these countries try to, these European countries try to prevent dual citizenship back in the 19th century very hard. So basically, when you didn't have to naturalize abroad, but if you left the country, for example, for 10 years, that was the case of Germany or some other countries too.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
But this is a really good idea for another webinar, I'm sure, to talk about, because obviously, you know, Europe was partitioned, and Germany, as it stands today, was not a country in the way that we, you know, there were shift in borders and whatnot. So I think we can maybe create a separate webinar just to talk about that. But these are really great questions, and there have been, as someone mentioned, court cases overturning some of the previous decisions. So we'll definitely provide more information about that. And Camille, you wanted to know about the cost. My answer to you is that truly it depends. It depends on which citizenship you're talking about, how many generations we're going back to, what documents you have. So the cost structure depends on what you come to us with, and we're always happy to conduct a free eligibility assessment, and there's no cost to that or obligation to proceed with our services, but it's just difficult to give you a specific amount without knowing more about your case. And on that note, I think we can move on to how to contact us, Anouk. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. So I really recommend emailing us and calling us. We are available any time of day or night because we're all over the globe. But yeah, emailing us and scheduling a call with our specialists is probably the best you can do. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We are very available there as well, answering your messages and questions on a daily basis. So yeah, again, we do our eligibility assessments for free, and I would not recommend them more.
Cool. And thank you for our wonderful staff for attending. Have an amazing 2026. Have a great Christmas if you're celebrating. And thank you for everyone for your participation. And we will take on board all the feedback and all the ideas that everyone's had. And next year it'll be bigger and better, that's for sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.